Welcome to the walkthrough of frequently made mistakes for assignment 2 in my CS5253 course in the fall of 2023. First, make sure to comment your code thoroughly or it will not be reviewed. I've mentioned this before on the previous walkthrough of frequently made mistakes and people still don't comment the code. If you need to see how to comment the code, take a look at this link and it'll give you instructions. Also, of course, take a look at the many examples that we go over in class to see how I comment the code and follow the same patterns. So let's take a look at some issues with fork join crawler. So a couple things here. This is the make process image task factory method. This is more complicated than it needs to be. Just use the URL new constructor reference here instead of doing all of this inside of rethrow function. That's unnecessary. And also this check is unnecessary. There's no need to check to see if the value is null. Down here, you don't need to have the open curly brace or the closed curly brace or the return. Just use a good old Lambda expression in a very simplified way. There's a couple of places where people could improve that as well. Down here, now we're into the compute method in URL crawler task. This expression is incorrect. What will happen here is the URL will be added to M unique URIs, even if M depth is greater than M max depth. So you don't want to do that. You want to change it so that it will not do it that. You want to short circuit it by using an and, not an or. Down here in the compute method for URL crawler task, both of these if statements belong in a single filter expression in the stream at the bottom of the method. Don't have them sitting out by themselves as if statements. We're trying to avoid using if statements if at all possible. Down here, please make sure that you document the code line by line, like I do in the examples in my class. One of the things that means is that the of should go on a line by itself, followed by a comment that says something like convert mpage URI to a stream or whatever. Please replace the objects non-null with the expression shown up here. You turn it into a single expression. And also, please make sure that you use find first.orl0 rather than using sum here. We've gone over that in class. Make sure you apply that. Down here, there's no need to use a try-catch block. You don't need that in crawl page. It's unnecessary. And also, please get in the habit of using filter objects non-null rather than using this particular Lambda expression. Down in crawl page, please use a stream here as per the instructions in the specification comment that was above. I omitted it, but if you look in the code, you'll see that. And so you should have the whole thing occur in a stream. Down here, don't create a forks array like this. Use collect. That's the whole point of using streams, is to get away from having to do these allocations manually. And so you'll get the stream here, and then instead of using for each, you want to use collect to list. And you should have some other stuff going on here as well. But you definitely don't want to use for each there. Then let's move to process image task. This is the compute method. Use a method reference here instead of a Lambda expression. You should always get in the habit of doing that. Your IDE will give you a prompt or a hint to do this, and so just follow its advice. It'll do it for you automatically. Use a method reference here, not a Lambda expression. Once again, your IDE will prompt you for that. And use find first.orl0 rather than sum here as well. Your IDE will not tell you to do that, but that's the comments I've been giving, so make sure you do that change. Down here, you don't need to use the filter call. There's no need to do that. It's unnecessary. You want to combine map and filter in this form into a single call to filter the checks to see if join returns non-null, so that'll simplify things. Down here, don't create a forks array, just like we talked about in the other method, and use collect to list, not for each. And of course, you don't want to add the task. So the fork array, because there is going to be no fork array, the forks array will be created by collect, not created manually up here by new array list. Now we're into some results. Please use a method reference rather than a Lambda expression. Also use map to int, not map. And down here, please use sum instead of collector. Instead of collect and collectors summing int. That'll simplify things quite a bit. Down here, again, use map to int here, and you can then remove this call altogether if you use map to int, because it'll turn it into an int, and then you can sum it. Down here, please use stream of m transform rather than stream of m image. And then in this particular example, you'll need to simplify this. There's no need to use filter. You need to use filter instead of using any map, match, and map. So that'll clean things up a bit, and you can stream all that together and not create a local variable here called new item created. Down here, make sure you use Java streams. Once again, read the specification comments carefully. That's why they're there. And the whole point of the assignment is to use streams. So make sure you use streams everywhere. And then down here again, please use stream of m transform rather than of image. image, and then you'll have to change filter and map so that they take transforms instead of images and adjust the parameters accordingly. So that's the walkthrough of frequently made mistakes for assignment number 2. Make sure you address those comments in your solutions that you'll push by the deadline, which has been updated in the GitHub repository where I store everything about the CS5253 class. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them on Piazza.